Okay, welcome everyone to the fourth session of the Mahlalela Mentorship Program. As you guys know, my name is Wade, and today we have Nefdt who's going to teach us a bit on how to communicate science. But before that, she'll probably do a better introduction of us. So she's from the UCT Maris. She's the Science Communication Officer there. And just some admin before she actually kicks things off. So you kind of notice that we usually remove the note takers, and this is not to offend anyone. It's just a lot of the universities have policies against that. And then also, I will be we are in the process of compiling a mid review survey. Don't stress, this is not going to take like a lot of your time. I'm trying to keep it to like 5 minutes, just a quick and easy few questions just to see how you've been finding the Mahlalela mentorship program and what kind of improvements, if any, we can make from our side. And then finally, this is actually my last session that I will be chairing as your chair for the Mahlalela Mentorship Committee. I will be handing over to Kelly Mohodzi, who's on the chat, but I won't put any pressure on you to say anything. But yeah, it's been a privilege leading these sessions, especially considering who it's actually named after. And also, I won't be gone forever. I won't be far. I've already signed up as a mentor. So you guys are welcome to reach out to me. So I'll drop my email in the chat at some point during this whole conversation. So yeah, you can take it away, Leila.
Oh, thanks so much, Wade. Very, very excited to be here. Hi, everyone. So my name is Leila Nefdt. I'm just going to give a brief introduction on Beyond the Lab and how you can communicate your science with impact. I am not a professional science communicator. I've still got lots to learn, but hopefully what I have learned so far, it can help you guys to hopefully be inspired to communicate your science. So just to give a brief introduction for those who have not seen the bio, very, very long bio. Yeah, I'm working at the University of Cape Town at MARIS, the Marine and Antarctic Research Center for Innovation and Sustainability. It's actually quite funny, but I've always wanted to be in the ocean space. So I've got a background in marine biology, more specifically looking at marine benthic systems. And yeah, I love the ocean. I'm super passionate. I think for those who do know me, you know that I'm super passionate about just sharing and making people aware about, you know, what is super, super cool about the ocean with the general public. Another fun fact, I'm a director and mentor at See the Bigger Picture, NPO. I thoroughly love it, and I'll share a little bit about what we do in some of the slides. So let's get into it. Yeah, I just wanted to start off with this quote. Well, firstly, science shapes everything that we do. And a nice quote from Andrew said, she said it so nicely, is that nothing in science has any value to society if it is not communicated. And I very much agree with this. Yeah, there's so many cool things that people are doing in science, and not many people in the general society knows about what's going on. So we need to take that responsibility as scientists, and you know, get out of our comfort zones and actually share this with the wider public audience. So just to share a little bit about effective communication, it's really central to improving the diversity and inclusion problems that are inherent in science. And without effective communication, gatekeeping will persist and barriers will continue to exclude people from understanding science. So just to prevent rumors or false information from being shared, and to avoid people from being confused, we need to make sure to provide correct information in time to the most appropriate audience. And just at the bottom of the slide, I just kind of mentioned that, if you don't tell your science story, someone else might tell it wrong. So let's take that responsibility up. Okay, so how should we communicate? I just put a couple of steps here just in terms of how you can craft your story. I'll go a little bit more in depth with a couple of more slides later on. But firstly, decide on what your scientific research topic is going to be. What do you think is missing? What do people need to know about? And secondly, you need to know who your audience is. This is actually one of the main key components of you sharing your science and how you will structure it later on. Are you going to speak to the general public, maybe policymakers, journalists, people from your local communities? Yeah, it's really important to know who your audience is going to be. And then when it comes to structuring your topic, I mean, you can kind of think of it like, how you would usually write up a scientific report, but we want to make it a little bit more fun in terms of when you're engaging with the public, obviously just stating what the problem statement is, why does this topic matter, maybe sharing a little bit about what you did in your research, what did you find, and why should people care? I think that's really, really important, leave them with a take-home message of like, why should I care? Why should I get involved with this? Or, so on and so on. And what is really, really cool is I love seeing people use various tools, props, and visuals to share your content in a fun and engaging manner. I think people like to be involved. So if you can try and make it as interactive as possible, do so. And then lastly, always make sure to go into it with confidence and be authentic. Be true to yourself. And what I love to do is to encourage people to use your personal and hopefully relevant stories or experiences with your audience to, it really helps to build trust and to attract your audience. I usually feel a little bit more interested in a certain topic if I find that it's more relevant to what I might be going through or what the current matters are in the world today. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick icebreaker just to kind of gauge where everyone is at or what your thoughts are on science communication. So if you've got your phone or your laptop, you can also use your laptop. If you can just maybe just go into your browser and search slido.com. You can manually enter this code in there. So you'll see the number #4045366, or you can scan the QR code using your cell phone if you've got that ability. I just want to kind of get a heads up from everyone, and maybe you can just give a thumbs up once you are signed in. I just got a few questions, nothing too hectic. Thanks so much, Wade. Okay, so I'll take you to the first question. Well, I see a couple of people are still joining. Let's go to the first question. So what you can do is, I've got a couple of like options. The first question is, what's the biggest barrier that you face when trying to communicate your science to non-scientists? Is it maybe your confidence, your time, support, relevance? Maybe you're not sure how to communicate, or access to technology and software. We can see a couple of answers coming through. Feel free to pick more than one option. I just wanted to kind of just gauge where everyone is at. Yeah, at the moment, confidence seems to be the highest. Language, yeah. And it's interesting, being in South Africa, you already have 11 main languages, and trying to work around that can be very, very tricky. also being in the scientific field, you already you're already in this one mode where, you know, you're usually speaking to scientists, but when it comes to talking to non-scientists, it's so difficult sometimes. Yeah. Okay, no, cool. I see a couple more answers coming through. So let's say the top 4 seem to be confidence, language, relevance, maybe relevance to your topic, and not sure how to communicate. That's great. Thank you so much. I've got another question, and I think I'll move on. Let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. What type of content would you prefer to create and share your science with your preferred audience? Whether it may be videos or vlogging, maybe images. You can make some static images as well, written blogs, popular science articles or journalism. The usual publish your scientific journal articles, creative writing. Okay, nothing there. Ooh, a lot of people are liking videos and blogs. Nice. Great. Podcasting, yes. Sweet. This is very interesting. Nice to see it change up. Looks like videos and vlogs seem to be in the lead. To be honest, from a personal point of view, I'm a very visual person, so I too like to watch videos, and if I can and have enough time, I will try and make videos just of my various experiences out in the field. But this is great. This is very, very useful. Thank you so much to everybody for sharing their thoughts. Yeah, looks like wait, did you say something?
Oh no, I think someone was just unmuted.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I don't want to miss out on anything. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. And this next one, I do want you to think a little bit. I just want to kind of gauge where everyone is at in terms of explaining your research, or maybe if you're not busy with the research topic at the moment, if there's something that really stands out to you, and there's something that you'd like to share, maybe it might be a popular topic that's happening in the world today. How would you go about explaining your research to a curious public citizen, whether they might be a 12-year-old or an 8-year-old, in just 2 to 3 sentences? I think it's a nice little challenge. I attempted it before. It wasn't easy. And sometimes having a time limit can be a little bit worrying, but it's a nice little fun challenge. So maybe I'll give you guys about 2 minutes just to kind of think of something. And maybe we can just go through 1 or 2 examples. Okay, here we've got one. I study how ocean waters behaves around underwater hills. Ooh, that would certainly intrigue me. Love it. Thank you. I see more people typing. Yes, it's so exciting. Oh, we got another one. Relating in a community and practice level. When people understand relevance, that's when it drives passion. It also encourages word of mouth when people care about how it affects them. 100%. That's so true. I'm just going to wait for maybe like another 2 more and then I'll move on. I explore the deep using underwater robots. Hey, I think I know what this is. I use AI to count the different organisms and make maps of their distribution. Fantastic. Let's see another one. Oh, okay. There's another one that popped up. Chasing the sun. Think about the biggest fish in the world. the sunfish, the odd-looking round and grey-looking fish. I'm trying to find out where they move across oceans, where they mate and reproduce. I love this, guys. You don't even need me. I love it. Awesome. This is great. Okay, I'll leave the, you guys are most welcome to continue to put your responses in here. I'm very keen to have a look through it later. And I think there should be the option of you being able to edit your response if you feel like you want to change it up. So I love this. Oh, I could stay on this slide forever.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, lovely. Well, let's get into the rest of the talk. Alrighty. So I just wanted to kind of briefly just touch on, and thank you so much to everyone for getting your creative juices flowing. It's really exciting to see what some of you are working on.
Thank you so much, my friend. We appreciate your commitments to this prayer. And
I'm not too sure if someone was trying to speak to me.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to briefly touch on public and social engagement and give a couple of examples, some things that I've been involved with, or just sharing what is out there. So public engagement. This involves activities and projects that allow for open communication and create spaces for dialogue between researchers and members of the public. And what I love is that good quality engagement, it really creates an atmosphere of trust between you and your audience and brings benefits for all that are involved. So this is something that we do not want. We don't want to force people to listen, but we want to help the public or your audience to understand the importance of your work or research topic. And in fact, it should actually be a two-way conversation that involves interaction as well as listening with the general public. It shouldn't just be a one-way thing. Just a couple of steps in how we can get there. So firstly, we need to plan and plan well in advance. This can look like, this can involve you creating a timeline, also kind of figuring out, like, do I need to access various software or tools to develop my content? The planning process is really, really important and might take some time and a lot of thinking. Next, you want to, in terms of marketing, you need to research the gaps that are in the market. Find out who is your most appropriate audience, who needs to really know this information. Then when it comes to designing your content or presentation, whatever you are planning to share with your audience, make sure to design it with the intention to catch your audience, the audience's attention. Try and keep it simple and to the point. You know, sometimes people can get so lost in what is happening on your slides, or whether it's whatever you might have to display your topic. Next, strategize smart ways in how you will disseminate your content, and whether it might be to go and visit a school or a local community center, or there are various scientific events or expos where you can share about the work that you're doing. And also strategize ways in how you can continue that engagement with your audience even after the actual event. So when it comes to the actual event where you're launching your content, this is where you're actually disseminating your content to your audience, your interested audience. Make sure to have a compelling story and share it at an appropriate time, date, or occasion. Righto. Here's just a couple of examples that I thought would be nice to share. So this is an event called the Soapbox Science. It's a very, very cool platform, nice informal setting. It is a global event, actually. And I think it's been running now in Cape Town for a good number of years. It usually happens at the V&A waterfront, and I think they are looking at possibly extending it across the country. I just need to check my facts though. But what I love about this platform is that you actually, as a scientist, you get to bring your science to the people. So yeah, we've got a picture of myself with my master supervisor, Natasha Karini, where she got to think of some creative ways of explaining her research in 10 to 15 minutes with the general public. So there's lots of people in and out of the waterfront, and you've got all ages coming through. So you have to really think carefully about how you're going to explain your research in 10 to 15 minutes. But this was really, really cool to be a part of. And what is quite nice to also look out for with the Soapbox Science Talks, they also look out for volunteers to come and assist. So if it's something that you kind of like, you're wanting to check out, sign up as a volunteer. I think it usually happens around August, September, but yeah, check the socials. And I think I've left the details at the bottom. Go and check it out. It's really, really cool. And I think they're mainly looking for female scientists who are probably from PhD and up to volunteer yourself to go and share your science. Yeah, so that's an example. Another one, education outreach programs. What I love about these is that it's usually informal, but you can also find it in a formal setting. Here I've just got two pictures. On the left, this is me at the Science Festival in Grahamstown, Makanda, where we got to speak to various school groups. It was really, really exciting because we could bring little dried out organisms to show the learners. And on the right, I've got a picture of myself and my team at See the Bigger Picture, where we're sharing about the scientific method with very young groups from high school. Yeah, so you can be creative. And what I love about educational outreach programs, it can be for all ages. But what I did put down as a little tip, always be prepared to listen to stories and answer questions. You can really learn a thing or two from your audience. But yeah, let's see. We've got TEDx Talks. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this. It's more of a formal setting. And what I love about this platform is that the talks are really short and impactful. So the speakers usually have special training in, getting your story out there nice and quick, and how do you leave the audience, with that take-home message. And what I love about it also is that it addresses all sorts of ages. Yeah. So we've got storytelling as well. This is something that I did feel at a certain stage it was dying out. But what has been so exciting to see this icon, Mahlalela from KZN, she's been writing and performing on stage and screen for over 20 years. She's written many children's books as well as poetry and short stories. And what I love about this is that it's not only entertaining or educational, but it also preserves the dignity and wealth of our Indigenous cultural heritage here in South Africa. So please feel free to check out that link where she just shares her passion for the ocean and has so many cool stories to share. So yeah, she's amazing. Another example of storytelling, a good friend of mine, Loyiso Dunga, is a conservationist and marine biologist. He studied and finished his master's at UCT, and he's coming from Khayelitsha here in Cape Town. And I think throughout his academic career, since I've known him, he's been devoting his life to advocating for marine ecosystems, specifically kelp forest ecosystems. And I've left a link here to a YouTube video where he shares a little bit about his science and how he's gotten involved with, helping to protect these kelp forest ecosystems. So yeah, a really great person to also look out for. And yeah, so just to share a little bit of tips and tools, just brushing on what we spoke about now with public engagement. Always make sure to do your research beforehand, plan well in advance, always be mindful of the language that is used. And this also can tie in quite nicely when you're doing your research, knowing who your audience is. Keep that in mind that, what language is being used. And if you're not too sure about, the content that you've prepared, maybe check it with a friend or colleague. Maybe even practice beforehand. But sometimes, you don't want to sound like a robot. So, be flexible and learn to improvise as you go along. And like I said, share your research with friends, family. A really great platform to start sharing your sciences at conferences, and all these different activities and events that come up through varsity. Check it out. Okay, so just to briefly touch on social media engagement. So what is super exciting is that online communication has brought information to people and audiences that previously could not be reached. So what I love about it is that it's increased awareness among people about what is happening in other parts of the world. So that's quite exciting. Yeah, so social media is a powerful communications medium. It's quite scary how it's been like booming, but it really does have a widespread influence over cities as well as remote areas. And however, it is only part of the digital revolution that we are witnessing. Digital transformation has not only influenced businesses and made the world more accessible, but it has also changed the way in which we communicate. And this has been really interesting to see. I know a lot of people tend to watch things that are a lot, quicker. Like I know with TikTok, the videos and things are so short. It's just very interesting to see how things have changed in terms of how we communicate. So just a couple of examples in terms of what I've used through UCT Modis. We've used LinkedIn for more of a professional setting. We've got Instagram. It's probably more for, I want to say, a younger group, but there's various age groups that have tuned in from our Instagram platform. We've also got a YouTube channel, and there's Twitter, but that might be dying out a little bit. So we might be rethinking that. But it's always good to think about these different platforms and see what is going to suit the audience that you want to speak to the most. Let's see what's next. Yeah, just some other examples. We've got our newspapers, magazines, TV, radio. This is where you bring the science to those who don't usually have access to the internet or should I say, prefer traditional methods. But I know a lot of these things like magazines and newspapers are also going online. So that's quite nice to know that you have options. But what I find super exciting is that comics is also coming back in, should I say, where visual storytelling is used through comics and graphic novels. There's a couple of links that you can check out. But what I'm really excited about is seeing the Super Scientist comics, which actually started in Durban in 2019. And it's been super successful. We've actually, a couple of friends have also joined this movement and have got their own Super Scientist name and little icon. And I think it's so exciting. So if you want to check a little bit more about this, there's a link there where you can also access downloadable cards, posters, and activity pages. And it's really nice just for, local communities to relate to people who actually come from your community and putting local scientists into the hands of young people to educate and inspire. So I've got another example, and she's also got her own super scientist name. And I think you guys will be meeting her very soon in the next session. So we've got Dr. Kolisa Sinyana, and she actually just completed a PhD. Well, she just graduated with a PhD in ocean biogeochemistry from UCT. An amazing woman. She's super passionate about sharing her science, and she's also really into her blogging. So you can check out these links that I've shared here on top. What is also really exciting and something for you to look out for, she started up her own business called Ulwazi Scientific Communications and STEM Research, where she basically consults and helps people to better their scientific writing. So yeah, definitely look out for her. She's doing some amazing things. Let's see. Okay, and there we see Kolisa again. So we've got podcasts and YouTube vlogs. There's amazing things that's out there. So it's nice to know, what options are available. And like I said, life is too short to be serious. Have a little fun. What I've really been enjoying seeing is also the Explore the Shore, YouTube series, and what Professor Charles Griffiths and his son has been doing is sharing like some really interesting facts about some of the life that you get to find along sandy and rocky shores right around our coast. So if you get a chance, go and check it out, and maybe that's something that you might be into. Yeah, so how can we effectively communicate using social media? So social media not only allows you to hear what people say about your research, but it enables you to respond back. Firstly, keeping in mind to listen first and then speak second. Always make sure to be compelling, be useful in terms of the information that you're sharing, be relevant and engaging. And don't be afraid to try new things. I mean, maybe think about it a little bit, but or check with a friend, like, does it sound okay? But yeah, get out of your comfort zone, try out new things, because you'll never know if it works until you try. So yeah, just a couple of steps in terms of managing your social media. It can get a bit tricky depending on how many platforms you might be using. But we want to start off by creating our content. And you can use various platforms to create the content. I think in the next slide, I'll be sharing just a few ideas of what you could use. You want to make sure that you create your timeline in terms of how you will schedule your publishing of your content. I know this can get a bit tricky depending on what your daily schedule is looking like. But yeah, always make sure to factor in time to see when is a good time in the day to also publish. Yeah, sometimes those factors really help to see, when are your audience mostly online? When are they engaging? What type of content are they engaging with more? And what is really nice is to also develop campaign strategies. So maybe you can come up with something like, at Modest, we've tried something with Fun Fact Fridays. Maybe sharing some really cool facts about the ocean every Friday. Or something like now in June, it's World Oceans Month. Maybe you want to run like a little competition, get people to engage with you online. So that really helps interacting with users and growing your reach. And what I really find very useful is to monitor your performance using the analytics. So I know on various platforms, you can check your analytics, and this kind of shows like what type of content is really working quite nicely, what content is your audience engaging quite well with, or what are they not engaging well with. So this really helps to see how you can improve. So that's definitely something to look out for. So this is just a couple of ideas of what you could use. I personally love Canva. I use it for almost everything. And there is a free plan, but there's also a pro plan which you can pay for. It's not too badly priced. PowerPoint, guys, is amazing. I feel like you can do so much in PowerPoint, and there's a lot of haters, but yeah, I love it. There's some really cool free resources such as Unsplash, Pixels, Flat Icon. You can find some really, really cool icons which you can save as a PNG, put it in your PowerPoint presentations or poster presentations. I've used it so many times. And also like Instagram, TikTok, you can create your own reels, create your own videos. It's really, really amazing. But yeah, what I really love to encourage people to do is not only just show like your results, but to also show the process and how you get to your results in terms of your research. So yeah, this is just a couple of examples that I've made in Canva. I've created a newsletter for our ECRs, various posters for website or socials. I've also used Canva to create our pamphlets for Modus as well as our banners. So yeah, you can go crazy in these various platforms. Okay, so I just got another two examples of some really amazing local science communication experts, I'm going to say. We've got Professor Nusia Chinsami Turan, who's from the University of Cape Town, and she's a South African vertebrate paleontologist. What I've really enjoyed seeing, especially over the last couple of years, so she's really amazing in terms of, writing and publishing her scientific journal articles and popular articles and her children's books. But what I've really enjoyed seeing is that, she obviously has noticed that the audience kind of changes and she wants to reach a wider audience. So what she's been doing now is, so UCT's got a one button studio where you can actually record like a podcast, or you can record various things. But I think anyone can pretty much do this just by using your cell phone, recording what your process was like in terms of writing up your research, the journal articles. So she's tried to make some really cool, attractive videos, just sharing like the highlights of the journal article or children's book. And then people can access that, and then you click on the link to take you to the paper. And I think that's really, really smart. So I've really enjoyed seeing her do this. Yeah. Another great example is Dr. Marina Joubert, who's working at the University of Stellenbosch. And she's a science communication strategist and associate professor of science communication and public engagement with science. And she's also been doing some amazing work, especially in terms of training people on how to communicate your science. So definitely check out these links that I've left here. Yeah, she's really incredible. She also offers a 6-week online course on science communication at the University of Stellenbosch. So definitely check out those links. And yeah, just to end off the social engagement part, we want to find your audience, find an appropriate social media platform to use, keep your content simple and attractive, and also truthful. What is really important that I've found in terms of social media, we need to make sure to add the necessary hashtags or mention the appropriate people or groups that you want to engage with or maybe collaborate with. In terms of creating interactive content, you can create polls and share QR codes to link your audience to your research in a quick and effective way. And always make sure to be consistent. And if you have enough time, follow up regularly with your audience's feedback. It's always nice to just hear back from who you're really interested in finding more about their research. So there's two tools that I've really found quite handy in terms of avoiding using too much jargon. So I don't even know if it is an actual word, but I'm just going to use it to de-jargonize your research content. So these two platforms are called the Upgoer 5 text editor, and there's another one called de-jargonizer. Basically, you would just, so let's just say, for example, you've now written out your 2 to 3 sentences of what you're going to share with non-scientists. Pop it in there, and basically it will kind of spit out a nice, cleaner version, and hopefully more user-friendly way of sharing your science, your research. So check it out. I just wanted to share just quickly about an opportunity that I got from CNN Inside Africa, where they asked me to share my story, just about, how did I get to where I am, and a little bit about touching a little bit on what type of research I'm doing. And this was really, really cool because I got to do it with several other female African scientists. And this opportunity really just reminded me of, the fact that if I don't tell my story, who will? So I want to encourage everyone to just, take whatever opportunity you get to share your story. Maybe it might inspire another to go into that same field. Yeah, you never know. So it was a really great opportunity for me to represent my community and also the deep sea research community within South Africa. So feel free to check it out. Just really awesome. So just to quickly summarize, just a little bit about, what we've spoken about now. Always make sure to be authentic. Build trust with your audience. Like I said earlier on, share personal stories. And you don't have to go into depth, but be real, show that you are human, and always make sure to be clear and confident in what you are saying. Be adaptable, life happens. So always make sure to be flexible, depending on what is happening. Always make sure to respect your audience. This is very, very important. And I think this also comes in hand with, doing your research beforehand. What is your audience all about? What is the language that they use? Always make sure to respect your audience. Another thing is body language is key. Oh, people can see if you actually there for the right reasons through your body language. So make sure, like I said, be clear, be confident, stand tall, and you are the expert of the topic that you are researching. So just remember that, and always be consistent, and know that your story is worth sharing. So just to leave you with the last quote, the world needs your science, but it also needs your voice. This is very, very important. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody for joining in. I really hope you enjoyed the session. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. You are most welcome to scan the QR code and check out UCT Modus. I've also left a link there for my Linktree if you want to check out some of the other opportunities that I've been a part of. And I've also just left a couple of other slides after this. I will be sharing, or I'll send my presentation to Wade to share with the group, just with a couple of other useful links and tips. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Leila. I definitely am going to be using that dejargonizer.
No, it's great, eh? It really, really helps.
If there are any questions for Leila, please put it in the chat. I'm going to share the poll. Like Leila mentioned, Dr. Kulisa Sinyanya is going to run the next session next month, and it's going to be on scientific writing. As you know, Leila also mentioned she started her own business, was the science communication and STEM research. So she does a lot of like proofreading and all that. And I know everyone's theses, or some of you in the chat, your theses will be coming up. So definitely that is something to consider. And then any questions for Leila, like I mentioned, put it in the chat. I do maybe have one question while everyone's maybe typing their questions. So what kind of advice can you give people who are new to a field, for example, and aren't very confident, because obviously confidence doesn't come very naturally. And what I realized, so before I worked at SAPRI, I also worked on another project in the green economy where we educated high school students, and
Yes.
a lot of them don't know what it is. But after, because we taught from grade 9 to 11, so once they got to grade 11, you actually start realizing that they grew in confidence. They now know what they're talking about. So what words of encouragement or advice can you give to people who's maybe starting in a field that's kind of adjacent to what they studied, so they're not fully confident?
Oh, thank you, Wade. That's a great question, and I'll try and answer it to the best of my ability. But honestly, one thing that I've really found super, super useful in my journey was having I mean, if you are able to find someone within that field, whether it be a new field, find someone that can actually mentor you. This was something that I found very, very useful with Dr. Natasha Kareni. And she's been a mentor pretty much my whole life. But it's been so useful to have someone in your corner to guide you, to also just increase the opportunities. I mean, they are a little bit more, know who's in the field, maybe in terms of introducing you to other people. I think it really helps to get familiar with the immediate network within that field. And yes, maybe you're not going to have the opportunity to meet everyone, but I do feel that becoming a little bit familiar with the people in the space, and just finding opportunities like these training opportunities, maybe how to better present your research or something like that. Take up these opportunities. I literally try and grab whatever opportunity comes my way, to try and better or improve myself. But yeah, I definitely have to say, finding a mentor, someone that's willing to guide you along the way, that was something that helped increase my confidence. And yeah. And like I
Thank you.
said, check with a friend if there's
Yeah.
something that you really, really feel passionate about sharing. If you've got a friend or like your mentor, someone that you know that's in the field, check with them like your content that you wanting to share. Maybe just double check it with them and see, does it sound okay? Something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have questions from Awande. I'll try and get to all of it. How do you measure the effectiveness of your science communication efforts?
That is a great question. Honestly, I did mention a little bit earlier about, let's just say in terms of the social media engagement, it might be a bit easier to monitor your performance. Like I said, with checking your analytics, so maybe LinkedIn or Twitter or any one of those, you can check your analytics, and this is a great way for you to see what type of content is really being, or should I say, your audience is engaging quite well with. And that's a nice way to see, like, okay, this is working, this is not working. Maybe I can try out something else. In terms of public engagement, I know in terms of the work that I'm doing with See the Bigger Picture, so we run a 4-week program with a high school group, and we do try and give the learners an evaluation form at the end of the program. And this is sometimes very, very useful in terms of knowing what works for them, what did they enjoy the most, how do we think that we can improve. So there's those type of ways that you can try and evaluate how your engagement is working.
Cool. Then also, how do you tailor your communication approach when addressing different audience, such as policymakers, students, or the general public?
I would have to say, with that very first step, doing your research beforehand, I think knowing who your audience is, knowing what type of information they would prefer to use to make their life easier or their work more efficient. Doing your research beforehand is very, very useful. It might take a while. It's not easy. And ask people. Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah, I just feel like some people are afraid to ask. Sometimes I might be, depending on who I need to speak to. But you won't know until you try. So if you ask the people that you are wanting to engage with, just ask, like, what would you prefer? I'd really love to share more information on this type of topic, but I need to know how would you be able to better use information, and something like that. I think that would probably be the best way to go about it.
Cool. Yeah, I'd just like to add on to that, like when you're communicating science, it's very much as much of a relaying information exercise as it's a listening exercise.
Yes.
And that's definitely quite important. And another one would obviously also be language use, because you're not going to speak to policymakers in the same way that you'd speak to high school students.
Yes.
There are certain ways in which you're not just using the language, but the way you actually are presenting also. So the high school students would prefer more of an informal
100%.
presentation and those kinds of things as well.
Exactly.
There is a question from Amira. I would like to train the staff at the organization where I work on how to communicate and tell our story more effectively. Do you have any suggestions on the best way to approach this?
So I'm just thinking, I know I also just came across another gentleman who's also running courses on how you can communicate your science. I'm very happy to share his details. I know we've been communicating via LinkedIn, so that's something that I'm happy to share with you, Wade, to relate to the rest of the group, and hopefully that can be useful. I mean, I'm also happy to share what I've shared today, but yeah, I'm not a professional science communicator. So yeah, still very much finding my ways. But yeah, hopefully I can share that person's details.
Cool. Thanks, Leila. There's one more question. I'm just going to stop the recording before I get to it because I see we're running out of time.
Sure.